But is there anything similar happening in Australia? We don't have a European Court of Human Rights, but what sort of lawfare are we seeing in this country, and what sort of red tape is stopping projects or frustrating them, slowing them down to the point where people are saying, it's much easier to do business elsewhere in the world?
Well, every new gas and oil project, and sometimes agricultural and mining projects, has objections. And these objections are based on the emissions of carbon dioxide. Again, no one has ever shown that carbon dioxide drives global warming, and no one has ever shown that human emissions drive global warming. So we have got this disease of environmental lawfare. Now, we are driving investment out of Australia in a company that I'm a director of. This is the Roy Hill company in Western Australia. We tried to open an iron ore mine in an iron ore mining province, in an iron ore mining state, in an iron ore mining country. We needed 4,950 approvals to open an iron ore mine in an area where there are plenty of other iron ore mines. Now, this is environmental lawfare, this is bureaucracy, this is red tape, green tape, black tape and blue tape, all gone mad. Australia is not a very attractive place to invest in. And if I had zillions of dollars to invest in a resources project, I would think of countries like South America. In South American countries, the risks are probably lower than some states in Australia, and especially your state, Victoria.
Now, the Queensland Liberal National Party, well, they seem to have followed into the footsteps of their Victorian counterparts. They've decided to back the Labor government's plan to cut emissions by 75% in the next 10 years. Stephen Giggles Miles must be laughing himself silly right now, Ian. What are they thinking? This is not only an anti-fossil fuel position in Queensland, of all places, but it also undermines the federal coalition's nuclear plan.
Well, they weren't thinking. It's obvious. And they're just handing the ball to the current Labor government and saying, go and score. We're out of the game. Now, in Queensland, the wind and solar is totally dependent upon China. In Queensland, the gas and coal is totally dependent upon Australia. Queensland has very large resources of coal and gas. They should be using those for their own benefit rather than sending hard-earned dollars to China. They are exposing themselves to huge risk, and there must be a groundswell in Queensland of LNP members saying, no, this is not representing the view we have in Queensland. In Queensland, we have coal. We've only got thousands of years of coal. We should be using it. We shouldn't be sending all of our money over to China. Then they use our coal to make wind and solar facilities, which we then import with value added to it. So this is absolute madness. It's political madness, and it's undermining the federal Liberal Party, and it's undermining all of the members of the LNP. I know many of these people. They're often in contact with me, and they are absolutely appalled at this decision. The leader was having a good run up until he started to talk about net zero and 75% of net zero. Total madness.
Well, you wonder what is behind this thinking, what the strategy is here, because they've seen what's happened in places like WA and Victoria when the Libs try to be Labor light and try to copy these radical green policies. It hasn't worked out well. Are they so confident that they're going to win, that they just adopted this to hold on to a few seats, I don't know, around Brisbane where this is an issue? Or are they doing this because this is genuinely what they believe is the right thing for the state?
Well, I don't think they believe anything. They don't have any principles on many matters. I think they're trying to win 1 or 2 votes in marginal seats. If they stood up for matters of principle, there would be votes in marginal seats that would go towards them. Now, they can look at other states in Australia. They can look at what's happened in the UK. They can look at what's happened in Germany. All of these jurisdictions are moving out of net zero and saying, no, this is madness. It's sending us broke. We have made a mistake. Now, no politician will ever admit that they've made a mistake, but there are ways of using weasel words to wangle your way around a mistake, and that's what's happening in the UK.
It is, and we'll watch to see what happens in Queensland. Whether there's, well, it's almost like they've removed this as an issue at the election, and I think that's the strategy. They don't want climate change to be an issue, so they're going to copy the plan of Labor, but they're missing the point there. The fact is that this is something they should be fighting on because it's the right thing to do, and it can actually help them win the election as opposed to hinder them.
Yes, well, of course.
Professor Ian
they
Plimer,
should
we
stand
love
for
having.
something.
They should stand for something. Give the electorate a choice of the ballot box. Professor Plimer, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.